Richard, a great start for the Spurs to this new year. Not bad at all. Get a win over the hottest team in the league, Milwaukee Bucks, and then they followed up with a win over the Boston Celtics, a very good team as well. How different is this Spurs team now this year than at the start of this last season?
Well, obviously, one thing I really liked about those two games was, of course, they beat Milwaukee with really kind of offense, and they kind of showcased again LaMarcus Aldridge shooting threes. Spurs have taken their offense out to the perimeter a lot more than they used to. It's very interesting to watch that evolution. And then they go up to Boston in a very hostile situation and win a ball game that they could have easily gotten away from them because of what was happening with the crowd and everything else, a beer can thrown from the audience and, almost hits Bryn Forbes and on and on and on. But they win that game with defense, just a hard-nosed, gritty defense against a Celtics team that's a very good team. So, yeah, I think that this is something to be encouraged by. But you know what? The schedule's still a lot of Miami Heat, a lot of Phoenix Suns ahead, a lot of Toronto Raptors. Two games against a couple of those. I don't know. I think that I'm cautiously optimistic that we're seeing something special kind of taking place here.
Cautiously optimistic, a great way to put it, and a great way to start the new year. Let's say that. You mentioned LaMarcus Aldridge stepping back behind the arc, something we haven't seen, something we're not used to. How much does that say about his growth as not just a Spurs teammate, but also as an athlete overall? And
the thing, this is not. When you think about this, what's very interesting is he's a veteran player. I mean, this is an expansion of his game that, to your point, that he's been willing to take on. I find that very interesting when you look at what LaMarcus was asked to do and the fact that he responded the way he has, and he's been successful at it. You're almost like, where has this been? Why did we do this, months ago? But I think that's one of those things that now it opens up everything. It makes other teams have to game plan in a different way for the Spurs. I think it's it's encouraging the fact that the Spurs are throwing curveballs at people and saying, look, number one, we're not giving up on the season. We're not blowing this thing up. Not only that, we're going to change the way we're doing things with the idea of going out and beating teams like the Bucks and the Celtics. And then don't forget, of course, when you do those kind of things and you win those kind of games, and Jill, you're an athlete, you know how this works. The 90% of confidence, 90% of it is mental. And the Spurs now, I think they feel pretty good about the fact we can go to Boston or wherever and win these kind of ball games.
It's definitely a good sign to see them going out of their comfort zone, like you said, mixing in a curveball. But LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan, undoubtedly the two leaders on this team, we struggled with them in the beginning because we weren't seeing them play to their potential. But now DeMar DeRozan averaging 22 points per game, stepping up his game. LaMarcus Aldridge, 19 points per game. How much have they grown since the start of this season?
Well, I tell you what, there are nights when DeMar DeRozan, and you and I have talked about this, where DeMar DeRozan's gone out there, been a little pedestrian. He'll score his 22, 25 points, but he just doesn't make an impact. Or where is he late in ball games? You can't say that about him now. I mean, as 2020 has dawned, late in 2019 into 2020, I don't know if he's heard the whispers about trades, if he's heard whispers about his game, and maybe just the talk about what kind of player is he in crunch time. But DeMar DeRozan has been a very good athlete over the last couple of weeks. He is playing great basketball. He's been the leader the Spurs have been looking for. I don't know what button was pushed, but I like it because the Spurs have been a better team, and he's been a really tremendous player.
Button pushed, light switch turned on, whatever it is, we Spurs fans like it, that's for sure. Stay with us, talking more Spurs after the break. Richard, back with us again, talking more Spurs and their fresh start to the new year. Offensively, defensively, we've seen improvements, but I want to talk about offense for a second. In the beginning, it was a little ugly trying to see them piece everything together, get some mojo, get some momentum. Now, believe it or not, the Spurs are the 6th highest scoring team in the league, averaging 114 points per game. How surprising is that, considering where we started in 2019?
Well, when you look at the Spurs, and again, it's always come back to defense for the Spurs. Obviously, they don't win if they don't play defense, and that's getting better. But offensively, that's kind of fun to watch. And here's the thing, we've talked about LaMarcus Aldridge, we talk about DeMar DeRozan, but look at the young Turks on this team that are kind of starting to step it up. Lonnie Walker's for real. I mean, when we watch what he's doing, he scored 19 in Boston, again, in a very kind of hostile situation. This is a guy, Lonnie Walker, who is going to be a superstar. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt as we watch him saying, and with the Spurs working with him and Chip England and everybody kind of molding his game. This is a guy who's going to be a leader for this team. And it's interesting, we talked about Derek White last year being a revelation. Well, Lonnie Walker's a revelation. And Sean Elliott has said it in the past. This guy's the best athlete on the team. Watch this guy and what he can do. And not only on offense, but on defense. And that's been a big part of what's happening with that Spurs offense.
No doubt Lonnie Walker coming into his own this year, getting those minutes, improving each game. How crucial is he going to be in the backstretch of this season when the Spurs are fighting for that playoff spot?
Well, then you got the youngsters who still have fresh legs. That's going to be a big part of that as well. And when you look at the Spurs, it's been a lot of time management, load management, all the different kind of things. You notice that's not happening as much this year. I think the Spurs are a young team. They've got fresh legs. They're making some things happen on the court. Pop has been throwing everybody out there and saying, hey, let's play some basketball. And I think a big part of that is what's going to help them late in the season is he's trying to get them together. He's trying to get that system working where everyone is employing what he is trying to make happen on the court. And I think that's what he's trying to do more and more, and that's why they're not sitting down as much. He needs them out there playing with each other and learning and communicating. That's going to affect what happens in March and April.
Now's the time to get them out there, get them ready, get them fresh. Richard, thank you.